Hey guys, what's up? It is JB Illusion, fresh off of watching episode 4 of season 5 of Samurai Jack, and I have to say, the last two episodes were super, like taxing on the soul. We need something that's a little bit lighthearted, a little more entertaining, just to cleanse the palate, and Gendy delivered while also, telling a great story. I also need a palate cleanser, because April Fool's Day, we were supposed to get episode 4 of Samurai Jack, if you didn't know. And what we got was Rick and Morty. We got trolled. I was about to say Rickrolled, but we got trolled, and that was just... I understand why Cartoon Network did it, but why Samurai Jack? It was just a bunch of episodes of Rick and Morty back to back. I kept checking like online to see what was going on, but it turns out it was just as planned for Cartoon Network. We can harness their anger and use it as social media to fuel Rick and Morty. 9 more seasons and some Szechuan sauce. But legitimately, this episode was really a palate cleanser. It was funny, it told stories, it advanced the story, and it was fantastic. We start off, actually, funnily enough, with a vision. Jack sees, not a daughter of Aku, but Aku's face on a woman's body. One of the daughters coming at him with 2 blades. And he wakes up, ah! And, he landed in the snow. He gets a little bit of his memory back. He basically, after Ashi fell, and then, he got caught watching, and then he fell, because the ground was not very stable where they were fighting. He basically hit every branch of multiple trees, and that's actually kind of what saved him. That's kind of what kept him alive. And landed in the snow. He had been out for a while. Still has his trusty spear. Good on him. And, he wakes up and he sees this trail of blood. Knowing, that somebody's out there, gets up and he follows it. Soon he becomes flanked by birds. I don't know if they were ravens or crows. Tell me in the comment section down below. I really feel like they were ravens, just because Samurai Jack had a really weird Odin thing going on for a little bit. And Odin was one of the gods who blessed the sword. So maybe we might see some Egyptian stuff in the future. Crossing my fingers. But he comes to Ashi's body eventually. It looks mangled. There's blood all around her, and it looks like, she's dead. Jack just looks down, and before he can even say anything, the ravens, the crows, say it for him. You killed her! Murderer! Murderer! You killed her! And he's just like, no, she chose her own path. She chose it, not me. And his mental state, as we've talked about multiple times in these episodes, is very fragile. And I love how it boils over, out into the world. And, we can see that he's freaked out. He's literally in a fetal position as all these birds are cawing at him. And then we see a chain just move a little bit through the snow. Ashi's weapon of choice. Yeah. She was playing possum, ladies and gentlemen. And the Kama just shoots out at Jack. It's the sickle-like end to her weapon. And he does get caught just a little bit. He dodges the brunt of it. And he has another battle with Ashi. Of course, it goes a little bit differently, mostly because it's only one daughter of Aku. And he knows about her weapon. And he manages to tie her up to a tree. She is just yelling and screaming, "You are the enemy. I will kill you, samurai. I will kill you for Aku's greatness." And he's just like, listen, it's not... Aku is not the person that you think he is. He is the Lord and Master of the world. And Jack's just like, I really can't deal with this right now. I'm done. And magically, we hear a noise that shuts up Ashi and draws Jack's attention. It's odd, it's loud, it's big, but we don't see anything. And then suddenly, the ground erupts under them. sending snow and trees and Jack and Ashi up into the air. Down below, Jack looks, and it's basically the snow equivalent of the white whale. It's just there to swallow them whole. Or Pinocchio's whale, I apologize. And there it is, just swallowing up all the trees in the area. Jack looks at Ashi. Ashi looks at Jack. Jack is more freaked out about the fact that he's about to travel into another monster's, bowels. He already did that with Jack and the farting dragon. That was a great episode. You should check out, by the way. And all the trees are falling. At first, he's trying to dodge them. He's trying to move around. But Ashi, still thinking the way that she does, sees this as an opening. She somehow manages to move her body around and get that sickle-like tip of her weapon in her mouth, since she can't actually move her arms. And she starts parkouring off of trees, trying to kill Jack. She jumps off of one tree, cuts him. Fantastic. And she jumps off another one. Jack is just like, are you kidding me? I can't deal with this right now. But he still dodges. He's still actively trying to keep himself alive. And she does this twice, 3 times, 4 times. She's not really paying attention. She's focused so heavily on killing Jack. And then she comes around for that next time, and she misses, and her face winds up smacking dead up against the tree, and she's out. So now, with that out of the way, Jack looks down again, and all of these trees are smashing up against, I don't know, trachea, esophagus, whatever it is inside the throat of this monstrous creature. And he's like, oh crap. But he can see these little holes that he might be able to fit through. The trees are too big. So he looks down at that. He looks at Ashi, who's unconscious, by the way. And, you could see the wheels turning in his head. And he immediately knew what he had to do. Bounces off a couple trees, grabs Ashi, and somehow manages to maneuver themselves into one of the holes, slow down the momentum, and save her. Later on, they are, I'm assuming, within the belly of the beast. Jack puts Ashi down. I feel like he was going to explain things to her. He goes to sit down on what I'm assuming, I don't know what the heck that was. I was not big into biology. He sits down, and it gives way under him and emits this really foul odor. And Ashi just sits there and laughs. And Jack looks at her, and he's just like, what? I've done it. I've killed you, samurai. Glory to Aku. And she, bows. And Jack's just like, I've dealt with this. I've escaped from this. I'm still alive. And then Ashi's just like, okay, fine. I'll take care of this. So, I'm sure we would have gotten a lot more banter from Ashi if the parasites that lived within this creature's stomach did not attack. These huge crustacean-like creatures go after Ashi and Jack, and Jack does what he's always done. He somehow manages to protect someone maybe he shouldn't have protected, and one crustacean goes after Jack, cuts off the limb of another crustacean, which is oddly shaped like a sword, grabs it, and he starts going in. Starts cutting up everything. Ashi is, of course, trying to mess with him, actually. She's trying to kick him. She's trying to bump into him so he, takes a devastating hit from one of these creatures. And as luck would have it, that opens her up again to a hit from a crustacean, which knocks her out. So now, Ashi is unconscious. Jack is fighting all these creatures. They gotta get out. So he turns the chain that is currently, restraining her into a little backpack. And he's cutting through monsters and somehow manages to hop on top of the creatures and get out. Fantastic. Then we're privy to another scene of, somebody having some not nice dreams. We see the face of Ashi's mother. She says, "Wake up, Ashi. Kill the samurai." And she just immediately bolts upright, wakes up, and she sees Jack. And what's really important here is what she saw when she looked at Jack. Jack is sitting down. He is just forlorn. We've seen this quite a few times. Forlorn, not very happy, and he's just looking out. A little puff ball that's floating around in this creature just looks at him and says, "You know you should leave her, right? I mean, it's her choice." "No, she's misguided. She's fallen off of her path. She can get back to it." "You'd know a lot about that, wouldn't you?" A burn from a figment of your imagination. Just fantastic. And of course, since Jack isn't listening to the magical fairy puffball, maybe Jack's inner voice would say something. And he starts talking. You shouldn't save her. You should just let her die. Come on, what good is she? I mean, are you feeling guilty? You don't have to feel guilty. She chose her path. And from Ashi's perspective, we see that Jack is just talking to nothing. Nothing there. Yeah, Jack has some screws loose. This entire time, none of... Well, yeah, it's been assumed that none of what has been talking to him has actually existed. But we get, clarification onto that. Just in case some people thought that there were some magical things going around. I was slightly part of that. With the whole Green Samurai thing. Shut up. But we also see Ashi get kidnapped again by another odd monster. So it grabs her, sneaks up. Jack hears it. He looks up. He knows what's going on. And, he looks at, the figment of his imagination. He's like, "Come on, you're not going to save her again." And he says, "Yeah, I'm going to." It's basically what Jack does. I love the fact that we know that this is a figment inside of Jack's imagination. This isn't, Jack just breaking down. This is one side of Jack that's just like, I'm done. I've had enough. I've been saving people for 50 years. Nothing has changed. We haven't accomplished anything. You need to start not caring. But Jack is upholding his morals. That's pretty much what has kept him, I feel, going this last 50 years. That's what's kept Jack being Jack, and he can't really shake those, even though his inner self is telling him that he needs to. Awesome. So Jack goes up there, beats the monster, saves Ashi, and they continue their journey through the bowels of this creature. There's a ton of interesting points where Jack and Ashi have very, very odd interactions, very awkward interactions. That was one of my favorite parts. I'll just glance over that though. I feel like I'm getting very long-winded. And after that, basically, Ashi and Jack are awkward. That was pretty much the main point of that. After that, we wind up getting this like montage of Jack just walking through every part of this creature, and Ashi's just like, "Aku is amazing. He will kill you, samurai. Your evil will not last. You will not win." And then eventually, after finding some really cool armor, some odd armor, Jack winds up, I want to say, in another part of the beast. Maybe this thing has multiple bellies. And it shuts up Ashi. Because they're in this dark landscape where there's beautiful floating fish. I want to say it's kind of like the deep depths of the ocean, where you can see some fish, have lights or illuminate the area around themselves. And it was really striking. And that's what it took for Ashi to shut up. If you remember, Ashi, at one point in time, looked outside of where she was. I want to say, dungeon where her mother trained her. And she saw the world. And she really enjoyed it. She was forced to give that up. But she really liked that. And seeing that, I think, really moved her. So, long story short, there was acid at the bottom, of course. And Jack's just like, okay, so here's what we're going to do. We hop on a flying fish, pull it up, rains, and at the top, there was a way to get out. It opened and closed, light and dark. Of course, Gendy had to do some more awesome imagery. And just as they're about to get out, the predator of this area appears and tries to chomp after them. It was quite intriguing, to be honest. Just, like, I'd say just watch it. If you're not a fan of Samurai Jack and you just want to watch something, just watch it for the aesthetic beauty. It was a great scene. Now, eventually, Jack, through just, I feel, sheer force of will, through no help of Ashi really wasn't too much of a help. Actually, on their way up, Jack was climbing, and Ashi was on his back, and, you know, he says, "Oh, I think we're finally out." He can hear, like, breathing. And then Ashi, looks down, she looks around, and she kicks Jack. She just tries to force them down. He somehow manages to hold on to his grip. The thing that he was holding on to rips, tears, and comes, just shy of ripping off completely. And Jack looks down at Ashi. Ashi looks up at him. And the next scene is Jack still climbing. And the chain is now longer. And Ashi is at the bottom, just tied up. Eventually, Jack gets out, which was, again, visually beautiful. And they get spewed out of this giant monster, and they're in the sea. Jack, of course, being completely conscious, not tied up, can swim. Awesome. Ashi, not so lucky. He looks to his left, he looks to his right, and then he dives down. He rescues Ashi yet again, the person who's tried to kill him. And he takes her to like a little island, just off of where they were. Maybe that'll be a monster that they ride to somewhere in the future. Crossing my fingers. I hope so. And Jack finally has this time to rest. Ashi coughs up a little water. She looks to her left, looks to her right, and she sees her kama, that sickle-like weapon. She grabs it. She sneaks up on Jack, who's just, he's had enough today. He's just done. He needs to recharge. And just as it looks like she's about to make the charge, she's this ladybug just float in front of her. And she immediately goes into a flashback. She was training with one of her sisters when she was young. And this ladybug flies past her. She holds out her hand, flies just to the tip. She admires it. She looks at it. She's just happy. That's probably the only time she's had a smile on her face her entire childhood. And it flies off. Ashi, what are you doing? These things will only distract you from your path. And it floats to her mother's finger. She holds it there for a second. These are only obstacles, and they are not to be tolerated. And she squishes it in front of Ashi. She sees the life of this creature that she held in such awe just extinguished. And it stops her from killing Jack. And you see it continue to float away. And then Jack holds out his hand. It flies right into it. And he looks at it, smiles, just flutters away. Ashi finally lost a little bit of her will to fight, which is going to be great for the next episode. I'm hoping that Jack and Ashi can actually, kind of connect now. Now maybe Jack will teach Ashi more about the world, more about the true story of what went down between him and Aku. I mean, they are stuck on an island now. It's a huge possibility. Thank you guys for watching. I'm JB Illusion. I feel like I'm getting more long-winded as I continue to talk about Samurai Jack. Tell me what you guys think in the comments down below. And, I mean, like this if you liked it. If you disliked it, please tell me, in the comments what you disliked about it. Tell me what I can improve upon. Pretty please. And please be excellent to each other. From what we've seen in Samurai Jack today, Jack when confronted with his other self at one point in time, said that Ashi was just angry. That's just how she was letting out her frustrations. You know, she just went down, you know, kind of a wrong path, but she could still kind of go on the right path. Just remember that, ladies and gentlemen. And please have an excellent day. Peace.